Right now in Apex, you can do something that a lot of players have wanted since the game first released. You can play solo. I don't just mean you can hop in and find random teammates. No, I mean you can actually play solos for a limited time. The game currently has an event taking place called the Iron Crown Collection event, and with that comes the solo mode. And this mode is exactly what you would expect from Apex. It's the same map, albeit with one update that we'll get onto shortly. The same legends, the same weapons, pickups, it's all exactly the same except you're on your own. The first thing I have to say is that from a couple of games of solos so far, it's fun. But I didn't expect anything different considering that I already like the base game. Having said that, I think you do have to play it quite different. When you're playing normally with two other teammates, you do have that safety net in place, because if you do something a bit daft, of course, just like in most other BR games, you might pay for it, but you'll get knocked down and your teammates could come in clutch and save you, respawn you, whatever. But that safety net is not there when you jump into solos. Your weapon choice will also be affected a bit too, because when you play in trios, and especially when you're playing ranked, you may have two people on your team with close range aggressive weapons like a Peacekeeper or an R99, and then perhaps one of you will have a longer range approach with something like a longbow or a triple take. But this time around, you need to think for yourself and decide how you're going to approach different situations and back out when it doesn't suit what you've got. Third partying is also a bigger deal in solos, just like it is in the base game and ranked. I suppose that this is something that happens in any BR game, to be fair. When you hear gunfire or enemy players hear gunfire, then they tend to gravitate towards it. And so often you may kill one person or two, maybe three, only to have one more guy roll up on you before you're able to heal and eliminate you from a game with a couple of stray bullets. I suppose that's just the nature of the game. Because you're now in solos though, it also means that some of the more popular areas are really manic at the start of the game. And that's certainly a new experience for Apex. Here's one of the problems though. Before we get into if solos are a good idea or not, then we have to remember that Apex was built from the ground up to be a team-based game with two other teammates. Every legend has their pros and cons, and a lot of them can work together to make a really strong team composition. But when you remove that team play element, you kind of water down the experience a bit. In my time playing it since release yesterday, I mostly came across Pathfinders, Wraiths and Octanes, and that's not in the least bit surprising. It's what I expected. When you're playing solos, the best characters that you can have are the ones that allow you to get into the action and out of it as fast as possible. All three of those legends have a movement ability that will allow them to do that and close the gap, or get out of trouble if multiple people are attacking them, or even get high up, which is really beneficial in Apex. The high ground is super important. I feel as though a lot of the other legends become redundant in solos, and again, that's to be expected. Sure, you'll see people playing Lifeline for that extra healing, or maybe even Bangalore because her smoke grenades are still quite useful, and she does get that passive movement buff too if someone shooting at her. It's not like people aren't going to play as those other legends, but I think that most of the better players that you will come across in solos will definitely be using those faster, smaller characters. And of course, certain game mechanics of Apex were built for squad play, including the ping system, which is wonderful. The knockdown shield, well, that's no use anymore, even though it's still on the map for pickups. Maybe they could remove it to allow for more spawns of weapons or attachments. And the self-resurrection shield, that can be found too. But again, good luck using that because a player will know instantly if you have it. The other thing to remember with solos is that you could be playing against people of any skill level. If you've been playing ranked recently, you'll be used to playing the game a bit differently as you're getting matchmaked with people of equal or similar skill. Solos, on the other hand, is not part of ranked. So right now in the game, you either have Apex Normal, which is unranked with 3 players, or you've got 3-player ranked, or solos normal. Sorry guys if you thought that you could buff up your rank by playing solos, you can't. Maybe in the future, if it sticks around, it could have its own solo ranking, or even a leaderboard where it could determine who truly was the best Apex player. Solos is cool, and I think there are people out there who enjoy it, and I think it's okay. It's a limited time mode for now, and I think Apex are just experimenting with this and seeing how much interest there is for it and whether to make it a more permanent fixture of the game. And I do think that the asymmetric nature of Apex is fine for solos, because anyone that's playing it knows what to expect. They know that there's going to be characters that are just better in solo mode, and if you're playing Apex in solos, you kind of accept that. So I'm sure that the people who are playing it regularly are in fact enjoying it. Now, as well as solo mode, there's a brand new area on the map called the Gauntlet, and if you're into the lore of the game, then this place is quite unique because it's how Octane lost his legs. He was trying a daring world record attempt at the Gauntlet when it all went a bit wrong. Thanks to a pretty strange video on the Apex channel that details a conversation between Lifeline and Octane, you get an idea how it happened. Apparently, he used a grenade launcher to try and aid his jump, your classic rocket jump, and, well, it didn't go so well, and Lifeline risked her job to help him out. The Gauntlet itself, though, is a fun area. I think any new areas that break up the flow of the map and add new content to the fight are good. Right in the centre is a ring of fire that you can jump through. It's one of the challenges too, and inside it is often a piece of high tier loot, so make sure to look out for that. You've got to press your loot key at the right moment. And then there are plenty of Octane's jump pads around the area to make for some interesting engagements. I personally would love to see more areas like this added to just completely change the map, a lot like what Fortnite does. It absolutely keeps the game fresh, but I understand it's a lot of work. Now, moving on to the elephant in the room. This update came with something new called the Iron Crown Collection, and it brings with it a whole new layer to the shop with exclusive items that you can buy, but you have to obtain the crates to get them. And this is where I think Respawn have made a big mistake. Instead of just being able to buy the event items directly, you have to buy a crate. And then there's a 50% chance that you'll get an epic and a 50% chance that you'll get a legendary. So that in itself seems okay, because you're going to get an epic or a legendary. That's good. But the problem is that you can't just buy the item that you want, and I honestly really thought that we were moving away from this RNG loot crate system in games. Respawn have dropped the ball here. The other thing is that each crate costs 700 Apex coins. So if you want to buy 1000 Apex coins, that's going to set you back around £8. So each crate is, let's say, £5. That's a lot of cost to potentially get one of the items that you're after. Someone on Reddit worked out that if you want to guarantee that you get the new heirloom axe for Bloodhound, which looks awesome, then you're going to be paying around $170. You can also use crowns to buy certain shop items, and you can earn those by doing some of the Iron Crown challenges, and 2 of the challenges give you an Iron Crown pack. So you can at least get a couple of items for free. Maybe you'll end up getting the one that you want. But I think this system is really bad. And all this has caused on Reddit, on Twitter, social media, on the forums is a big stink, and people hating on the game, hating on the developers for this new system. And I think this could all just be avoided if people could just buy what they want. I understand it's a free-to-play game and I don't have to purchase anything, but me personally, if let's say the Bloodhound Heirloom axe was there in the store and it says you can buy this for $10, I would spend $10 to buy that because it's a guaranteed purchase and I know that I can get it straight away. I've got absolutely zero interest in playing this ridiculous RNG loot crate game and wasting a load of cash on it. Yes, I understand it's better for Respawn in terms of the money that this generates, but it's so damaging in the long term to their reputation and just bad practice. I long for the day when all free-to-play games just have a store with prices in dollars, in pounds, whatever your local currency is, and you can just buy whatever the thing is. Respawn have dropped the ball with this, there's no doubt, and I hope that they look into things and change this around for the future. Now, moving on top of what I've just mentioned, there have been a few game tweaks. For example, now when you die, there's a much better and clearer death recap screen, showing you how much damage that you did to your killer and how much damage they did to you. I think it's a really good update that I hope they continue to develop. I love stats like that. There have been a few weapon and legend changes as well. The R301's got a bit more vertical and horizontal recoil now, which will affect it more at longer ranges, and Wraith's audio hum when using kunai has been reduced, to name a few. You can also now see the first zone before you land, so that makes it much easier to know what landing you can or can't risk depending on the distance. In conclusion, I did enjoy playing solos, but my gut feeling is telling me that the game is better when you play it in trios, and that's a personal preference for me. I will play solos and I do enjoy it in Apex, but I think something's missing from the game when you don't play it as it's intended with other people. You just miss out on the dynamic of the gunfights, which usually play out really well with multiple friends. You miss out on some of the ways that you can combine your legends together, and overall, I do think the game is better as a trio than as a solo. Perhaps if the game was completely rebalanced for solos, it could offer something different, and maybe solos sticking around for people to play wouldn't cause any big issues with player spread, but right now, solos, as I said, is only a limited time mode, and I'm fine with that. Enjoy it while you can. And that's all, guys. Do let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. If you enjoyed it, leave a like. If you didn't, a dislike. Subscribe for more, and I'll see you in the next one.